let's give this another round, another test. So, sorry about that. A little bit of technical issues. The lightning, it's kind of stormy here in Colorado, and lightning kind of managed to take out the power really quickly, just enough to make my computer reboot. So we lost the stream, but we're back. We'll get back into it. Hopefully, a lot of you guys stuck around and hung through it, through the technical difficulties. We'll get back into it. I can still scroll back a little bit. I lost some of the chat though, so we'll have to kind of miss some of your guys' questions, but we'll do what we can. We'll see what we can. Let's see. I'm working on joining the Army, but my recruiter said I may need to get my bullets removed. I have one on my back and one on my leg. Should I get them removed before MEPS or after? What's your opinion? I've actually never heard of that, Justin. I don't know. I would go with whatever the recruiters are telling you. If the recruiter's telling you that you need to probably do that, then it might be a thing you're gonna have to have done. So that's a possibility. Jump around, because some of this was from when the computer was off. Let's get an F in the chat. Anyone here play? Was it for? I'm always not sure how to pronounce that racing game though. But I don't play that. Jump through a little bit. How do you? Okay, here we go. How do you become an officer in the Army? You got to go to either. You got to have a bachelor's degree, so you can either do that by already having a bachelor's degree and then going to OCS, or you can go through an ROTC program through a college and then become an officer that way. So that's a way to do it. We got a super chat. My lights blink? My lights didn't probably blink because the system didn't come back online for blinking the lights. But we got a super chat from Tyler. Thanks for the super chat. Thanks for the donation. Hey, there's the lights. A little bit delayed there, kind of. All right, but there we go. Hey, it's the blind sound engineer again. Interesting. Blind sound engineer. I guess you could do that. I would imagine that would probably, if you were a sound engineer, that would probably make it better, because aren't your like senses enhanced and everything? But that's awesome though. Thanks for the donation, by the way. Hey Chris, what do you think of Jones, Masvidal, and the Rockhold fight? They were pretty awesome. I won't lie though, I was doing a lot of shots with my friends, and it's a little bit blurry now. I mean, like the Masvidal fight, I was pretty aware of what was happening on that one. That one was pretty amazing, pretty crazy. I definitely didn't really like Askren, so I was happy to see that. The Rockhold fight, I don't remember if I was paying attention too well, but that was interesting. And then the Nunez fight was good. And then things are a little bit fuzzy on the John Jones fight by that point. But I still, for the most part, I think was paying attention. But it was a great night of fights. What's happening, Shane? Okay, my question was, my uncle was a ranger. Should I join to lead a platoon? Yeah, it's personal preference. I mean, that's up to you. I mean, military's not for everyone, so you just have to decide if it's for you. Hey Chris, if a chaplain is to serve with the Rangers, you could. I mean, is that what you're asking, if a chaplain could? Yeah, you still have chaplains in the Ranger Battalion, so you can still have that. What troop was I in 30th CR? I was in Regimental Support Squadron, RSS. Oh, but troop, S&T troop. Right? Is that what it was? Yeah, S&T troop. What is it? Can Deepers? What's Deepers? Deepers do vet events like Irrelevant Warriors. Does this apply to Deppers who don't make it? I don't know what you're talking about. Dependents? Is that supposed to be for dependents? I don't know what Deppers is there, Edward, so I'm not sure. Does the chaplain have to attend RASP or Ranger School? Because he'd be an officer. I don't know. Usually officers in the Ranger Battalion have to have the Ranger School tab. So I would possibly think so. I'm not 100% sure though. I don't know. Mr. Chaos, I'm 2 weeks away from finishing AIT and heading to Fort Stewart. Were you stationed in there? If yes, can you tell me about it? I was not. I have never even been to Fort Stewart, so I don't have any experience at all of what it's like being at Fort Stewart. Is it overwhelming or hard trying to go green to gold? How do you make the cut? It's not too bad. It's also about like availability. It's basically is what they kind of do is if you qualify for green to gold, you have to have a high enough, GT score and all this other stuff. But they're essentially allowing you to get out of the Army early to get a scholarship from the Army to go to college, and then you do 4 years of college and then come back in as an officer. So that's kind of essentially how it ends up working. How hard it is to do, I don't know. I've known a couple people that have done it, but I don't know exactly how hard it is to actually do something like that. Hit the like button. I agree. Did it reset? I guess it probably I don't know if it reset. It probably did. Probably reset. I don't know if this makes double videos. So if this made double videos, I might just delete that first part of the video from the live thing, and then just keep this segment of it. We'll have to see later how it ends up kind of turning out. But yeah, we'll get back on that hitting the like button train and see how high we can get the likes on the live stream up to. Hopefully maybe above 50 or above would be nice. When you were answering my question, it cut off. Mine was my uncle and the Ranger. Yeah, I answered that just a second ago, though. It's just a second ago saying it's really, personal preference as far as, is it something you want to do? Do you want to be in the Army? Do you want to be in the Rangers? It's up to you. I don't have experience being in the Rangers, so I couldn't tell you if it sucks or if it's great or what. So I really wouldn't have a great insight on that. So it's got to be personal preference to you as far as if it's something that means enough to you that you want to go for something like that. Do you still play guitar? Once in a great while, not a whole lot. I still have, of course, my guitars and my amp and everything like that. But I have not really picked up the guitar in a while to really actually play anything. So it's been a little bit. Hey, Chris, do you know that there's a new Rambo movie coming out called Last Blood? Yes. It looks okay-ish. I did see the trailer for it. I don't know about it. What is your opinion on a combat engineer? I'm at hotel right now to get x-ray. Already did all the MEPs. Just need to swear in if everything goes good. Engineers are good. You get to probably work with explosives possibly. I don't know. I guess the experiences will vary. There's some people that I've talked to that said they loved being an engineer, being a combat engineer, and then other people said they hated it. Said it was like a lot of work and it was a pain in the ass and it sucked. So your experiences will vary. So no real set answer on that. But if you want to work with explosives, then there's probably a good chance you might get a chance to do that. Yeah, super chat from Charlie. Thanks for the super chat, Charlie. There's no question or anything, but appreciate the donation. You're awesome. Do you have to go to college for Army Red? What's Army Reserves? Only if you're going to be an officer. Otherwise, if you're just normally just going into the reserves as an enlisted soldier, you don't have to. It's only based on if you're going officer or not. What movies would you say show the Army in a most realistic way? Probably Black Hawk Down. I don't know what else, though. I don't know. Black Hawk Down is the first thing that kind of comes to mind. Can a woman dye her hair different colors, such as blonde or red? Pretty sure bright colors aren't allowed. Yeah, it has to be a natural hair color. So that's kind of one of the things that has to be. I don't think you can do like neon. You can't do no neon colors. You can't do highlights or anything like that. If you have natural highlights, then that's fine, but you can't be dyeing your hair with highlights. But yeah, it has to be a natural hair color. But yeah, women are allowed to dye their hair. Even men are allowed to dye their hair as long as it's a natural hair color. So both men and women can dye their hair just as long as it's natural color. Are people in the special forces allowed to, I'm guessing, grow their facial hair out or still have to shave? So it usually just depends on what they're doing. If they are back in garrison and there's no really need to grow out facial hair, then no, they don't usually do that. The only time they'll kind of do that is if based on what it is they're doing, like if they're deployed somewheres and they need to, try to blend in a little bit, so then they will grow out some facial hair maybe prior to that or while they're there, whatever the case might be, then they'll do that kind of things, but not just generally all the time. They don't just always get to grow beards and grow their hair out. It's only if their mission really is, specific to something like that where they need to kind of blend in a little bit for the local citizens, so they might grow out some facial hair and grow out their hair and not keep their hair super short. Hey, I found a PS3 last night. That's awesome. I want that chaos flag. Oh, back here. There's a... Do I have it on this store? I don't think so. No. I think that there might be one. On the ChristopherChaos.com/store, there might be one of those on there, but I don't remember for sure. That specific one I just had made through like Vistaprint or something like that because I wanted something cool to hang up on the wall. But I might have something. If not, maybe it'll be something I add at one point in time just to try out. I don't know. But ChristopherChaos.com/store. Check out the website later. Links down in the description. Might be on there, might not be. I'm not 100% sure on that. I think that there's a different one that I have that is hanging up. You can't really, it'd be hard to see, but I think that one's on there. Do you shave in the Army? You do. You have to shave all the time. Hey, I've lost around 90 pounds so far to join. Have a little more to go. You have answered a lot of questions for me over the past year. Thank you very much, sir. No problem. Hopefully, good to hear on your progress and everything, and glad to hopefully, you know, provide you with a little bit of motivation. Chris, didn't know you played guitar. I do. Do you songwrite or play covers? I did write some songs. So the music that I play is heavy metal. So there was like a few things that I've done some stuff with bands where we've written some songs. There's some songs that I'll goof around with, like Metallica songs, just playing myself just for fun. But all the times when I've only played in a band twice, and those 2 times that I played for a band, we wrote our own songs. But both times didn't last very long. So like the first time I think I played in a heavy metal band, we only had 2 or 3 songs that weren't even complete songs. And then the second time I gave another shot at it, we had 3, 4, maybe 5 songs, something like that, but they didn't have any lyrics to them. They were just songs because we didn't have a singer, and then that kind of ended. So I have some songs that we wrote and everything with some friends, and then I'll play some other songs too, but I haven't played in a while. It's been a while. Chris, do you remember what the cell phone policies were like when units conducted an FTX? My old unit didn't care if we brought our phones, but heard some units didn't allow it. All the times when we would do like field exercises and stuff with our cell phone, and we had our cell phones with us, we had to either utilize them like inside of a tent or something like that because they didn't want like the screen illuminating the area at nighttime or whatever. And then there was kind of a few things here and there. When I went to the National Training Center, they were super strict on that stuff for some stupid reason. I don't know if they're still like that now. But the last time I did the NTC rotation, they wouldn't allow us, once we went out to the 2 weeks out in the actual field problem part, they wouldn't allow us to have cell phones. So it was kind of dumb as hell. But other field exercises, usually it was okay. We just couldn't be out in the open usually talking on our phones. Even though a lot of times we would use it for like communications to communicate with people and organize stuff rather than using radios and stuff. If you need an attorney to look at your contract, you don't... Oh, you're talking about someone else responding to something? Question, Chris. How far out of the spectrum is warrant officer? It's just a job that you can kind of do. Usually it requires E5 or E6 kind of rank to get to. So you have to have been in the Army for a little while, and then you get to warrant officer. Unless you're going to be a warrant officer pilot, then that's something straight off the streets. So I have a video on kind of explains a little bit about warrant officers, but those are mainly like kind of like professionals in a certain, MOS area that are kind of dedicated to like training and certain other things. If you are ever in Southeast Texas, I would be glad to record you in my studio. I'm not that good. I will say. There's like I played guitar since I was probably like 16 or something like that, but it hasn't been very consistent. So it was fun, and I was good at like, especially like you do like drop C tuning to where like the really hardcore heavy metal, because you can really mess stuff up and it doesn't really notice, as much as if you're trying to play something really clean and standard tuning and stuff like that. So it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah, not that great. Not as good as like for the amount of years that I've been playing guitar. I'm nowhere near probably how good I should be for playing as long as I have been. Chris, did you ever ride in a Chinook? I did. In National Training Center, though. I got kind of a little bit sick because they left the back door open and they were kind of like following the terrain and stuff, and kind of made me a little bit motion sick. Does knowing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu help with learning Army combatives? Asking since I practice Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at a purple belt. Yeah, it'd probably make it a little bit easier. It probably would make it a little bit, easier to pull off some of the moves and be, picking up on anything new that you didn't already know. So I'm sure it would. Cell phones have become a huge pain in the military. That is for sure. Yeah, I mean, like when I first joined the military, they weren't very common yet. So nobody really had them. I remember I had a phone in my barracks room, which was probably a bad idea because people a lot of times, like, leadership would call me to try to like get me to go do something because they knew I had a phone in my room. So that kind of sucked. But and then later, it started getting more and more fluent where people had cell phones, and it started becoming more of a leash in a way, to where it basically got to a point where pretty much required for you to have a cell phone, so you have a way to get in contact with your leadership and everything. If you go for ammo supply, you also get to drive trucks too, so you get to do both jobs. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but also when you're 88 Mike, you sometimes do ammo jobs as well. There's probably half my Army career was doing ammo as an 88 Mike, as a transportation guy. Hey Chris, I play heavy metal too. I play Les Paul. Awesome. Les Paul guitars are awesome. I have a custom guitar that was kind of a rebuilt guitar from a really cheap guitar that was gutted, rewired with new electronics, and even reshaped the headstock. And it's my Chaos guitar that I had my friend Jeff rebuild for me. It was originally a Telecaster, some cheapo guitar that I had gotten in Iraq one time. I have an Ibanez, I have a Jackson, I have an ESP, I have a Washburn, and maybe that's it, I think. Oh, and then a Harmony, but I don't play the Harmony. The Harmony was just my very, very first guitar ever, so I just kind of keep it around just because it was my first guitar ever. Can you do a 31 kilo video? I don't even know what a 31 kilo is, but eventually. Was that the dog handler one? It'll probably be an eventual one. I need to, I'm not 100% sure if there'll be an MOS Monday episode tomorrow. I didn't get around to editing it. If I can throw it together tonight, there'll be one tomorrow. If not, there might not be one tomorrow, and we might have to skip this Monday. We'll see. We'll see how it kind of goes. Chris, our convoy's pretty cool, and do you get a gun while driving as an 88 Mike? Convoys are kind of boring a lot of times, just really long, especially like if it's a really long one. But I don't know, I guess it's personal preference or personal opinion on that or whatever, but you're just following the vehicles in front of you, watching your left and rights, and keep an eye out on everything, and someone's on the radio probably communicating some stuff, and then paying attention to what's going on, and you might have a gunner up in a gun hatch if you have a vehicle with a gun on it. But yeah, everybody carries like an M4 or something. 88 Mikes usually have an M4 with them in the cab of the vehicle, so that's pretty common that 88 Mikes would still have at least an M4. Hey, thank you. I just graduated OSIT for combat engineer. You were where I got a lot of info. Well, awesome. Good luck to you. Hopefully everything works out great then. Have you already gone to your first unit? Hopefully, things work out well. But thanks for watching then. That's awesome. Can you support your family in the Army if your wife doesn't work? Probably, yeah. I mean, as long as you don't have, a lot of financial debt and stuff like that. If you have both have brand new cars and a lot of debt and a lot of other stuff, then it might be a little difficult if your spouse isn't working. But if your spouse isn't, isn't working, and you don't have like a large debt, you don't, maybe have, super expensive cars, then it's possible. Yeah, there's people that do that. Do you have a Fender Strat? I don't. No, I'm not a big fan of Fender. Mainly it's because I'm like really into heavy metal, and Fenders are really more, not necessarily all around the board, but Fenders are more for like classic rock or, those kind of bands. You don't usually see those very prominently with like heavy metal bands. You usually see like Ibanez and Jackson and ESP and guitars like that usually with heavy metal. So that's kind of the type of guitars I usually stuck with. Chris, do you want my guitar? I don't use it. I probably barely use it as well. I haven't, like I said, it hasn't been much of a guitar playing recently. Do you get to listen to music and bring snacks and drinks while driving? No, because you're supposed to be paying attention. People do it anyways, but you're not supposed to. I remember, like, you know, there'd be times where people have like maybe like one earbud inside their ear, listening from their, you know, MP3 player or whatever they have with them to listen to music. Drinks and snacks is fine. People will do that and everything too. But music you're not supposed to, but people will still kind of do it because you need to be paying attention and stuff. Chris, is it true that sheiks are allowed to wear a turban and not have to shave during basic? Yeah, I think they have some. I don't know what the full policy is on that, but I believe there are, based on religion and stuff like that, you can, you still have to keep it like really trimmed. There's still a length standard on the beard, but if it's for religious purposes, I believe you can do something like that. I just don't know what the full standards are on that. Do you recommend 3 or 4 year contract? It's based on how long you want to serve. You know, 3 years probably cool, 4 years great. Sometimes it depends on the MOS. Hey Chris, what happens when you were diagnosed with a mental disorder back in 2016, but you're okay now? What happens with that? I guess if you're cleared, then you're fine. If it's, I would imagine, it's probably gonna be something where if the MEPS doctors or whoever are able to clear you and say that this is not a problem anymore, then you might be fine. So that'll just depend, I guess. How long does someone stay in a unit that they are assigned to? That really varies. There used to be at one point where it was like commonly like 2 or 3 years, and then you'd end up going somewhere else. Nowadays, not so much. Now you can easily end up being in a unit for like 6 years, 7 years, whatever. There's no real set standard, especially like in the United States. It will be a set kind of thing if you're like overseas, like if you're in, you know, Germany, you're in, you know, Korea or something like that, then you have kind of a set time frame of when you'll be in that country before you're going to go back to the United States or whatever. But in the United States, that can really vary. I mean, you could end up being in a unit for 2 years, 3 years, could be 8 years, who knows, right? It could be your entire Army career in one unit. I mean, if your entire Army career is like, you know, 20 years, then no, you'll probably end up moving around. But if you're just only doing 4 years in the Army, then there's a possibility you could end up spending that whole 4 years in one unit. Did you ever consider becoming an officer in the Army? No, because my intent was only to do originally 4 years in the Army and then get out, and then 4 years turned into 10. So my intention was never really to make it a long-term thing. I just kind of got stuck under different situations to staying in the Army for a long time. Fenders are more for blues. Yeah, that's a lot of times you see Fender guitars with blues and classic rock and stuff like that. Can you tell us the pros and cons of your experience with being an 88 mic? I think I have that. I don't know off the hand. I think I've thought about that. I think I have that in my 88 mic video, or maybe my pros and cons to the Army. But I don't know. I mean, just like off the top. I mean, some pros are, you know, I don't know. I guess it depends on personal. You know, if you're interested in transportation, stuff like that, then you get the good experience of doing transportation. Some cons is sometimes you get stuck working some crazy hours occasionally, doing night missions. Other pros, sometimes your supplies that you're carrying, you can get the hookup on, like, especially like delivering food somewheres, and you can get like a hookup of some extra food from the people that are loading up your truck for yourself. So sometimes you get some sweet gigs like that. Chris, what units were you in while in the Army? My first unit was 113 Armor out of Fort Riley, Kansas. They are no longer 113 Armor. They're now 113 Cav, and I think they're somewhere else. I think they're in Texas or something like that, in Fort Hood or something. I'm not sure. But from there, I went to the Joint Security Area in Korea. Spent 2 years there. Then I came to Colorado and went to the 3rd ACR, and so I was with the Regimental Support Squadron, S&T Troop in 3rd ACR. Went to Iraq with them, came back. They went to Texas. I stayed on Carson and briefly went to 204th Infantry Division for just a short amount of time. It was really just a temporary thing before I went over to 410 Cav. They were 29 Cav at that time, and then a few months into being with them, they transitioned to going from 29 Cav to 410 Cav. And then that was the last unit I was with. I went to Iraq with them as well, came back, and got out of the Army about a year later after coming back from Iraq. What MOS is a tanker like to shoot tanks? That's a 19 kilo. Do you have to get option 44, I think, if I want to join the Rangers when I first enlist, or can I join later? It's option 40. That's just to guarantee you to go straight to Ranger selection to try to get into the Rangers. Otherwise, you can later try to request it from your unit to ask, request to try to go to Ranger or RASP. I couldn't think of the name of it for a second there. But you can request to go to RASP. Hey Chris, every time I watch your stream I feel old because it's all different now in the Army. That's how it is, Army changes. There's a lot of people I see like in comments of some of the videos, where they're like, trying to say that, that's ridiculous that soldiers get paid that much. When I was in the Army, I only got paid this. And it's like, yeah, there's inflation, so that's not going to be, the soldiers aren't going to be still getting paid the same because of inflation. Also, back when you were in the Army, a loaf of bread was probably 5 cents or something crazy. I don't know. But that one's always kind of kills me. Certain other things too, because the Army does change. I'm fortunate enough to still work with the Army, so I'm still able to kind of keep up on a lot of the stuff because of that. So that kind of helps out a lot, even though I'm not in the Army anymore. But because I work for the Army as a contractor, then it makes it a little bit easier to kind of keep up with what's going on. Did MPs also drive big trucks? No, they usually drive Humvees. Well, I guess you'd have the MRAPs, the MRAPs sometimes, but it depends. I mean, they could still have like 5 tons and stuff too, but nothing crazy like 88 Mikes will drive or anything like that. Hey Chris, did you hear the Army rejected an E4's request to grow a beard in observation of religion of flying the spaghetti monster? I don't know what that is. It made it to the Deputy Chief of Staff. I did not. I didn't pay attention to any of that kind of stuff, so I did not see anything about that. 410 at Carson? Yes. I was at 410 Cav on Fort Carson. That was the last unit I was in before I got out of the Army. Thinking of joining, what MOS would you prefer? 88 Mike, 31 Bravo, military police, firefighter, or combat engineer? I have a son and a girlfriend. I would like to become a police officer. Well, then go for that. Then go for military police. Probably great, especially if you want to be a police officer in the civilian world. Maybe you might make it a career to stay in the Army forever for 20 plus years and retire. But if not, then you can always, and you still want to be a police officer in the civilian side, you can really help out and make it a lot easier transition. So there you go. I would say probably go for the military police. If you're joining, you just tell them that they, you're answered someone else's question. See, wow, Chris, those unit names and numbers are crazy. You should do a video explaining unit names and numbering and how they work. I don't know how a lot of it's just old school and just, usually it's like sometimes it's like the first number, like say like 113 armor, it's like 1st Battalion, 13th, whatever, kind of a thing. It's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of confusing. I don't know, maybe at some point it'd be kind of confusing to try to pull something off and try to get that organized well enough. If you're doing it for a civilian job, you need to make sure that job does DP. What? You're answering someone else's question? The military gets paid a lot. What it? Oh, what are you talking about? Oh, are you referring to something I was talking about earlier? I don't know. Army eats and gets paid in peanuts. So, I mean, like, when you look at it on numbers, the pay sounds really low, but you also have to factor in that you're not paying rent, you're not paying, for food. If you're married, you're getting paid extra for rent, you're getting paid extra for food. So just your basic pay part seems really low, but if you were to combine all of the benefits together, it's actually kind of normal. I mean, it's not great, you're not gonna be rich, but it's, fairly normal to a lot of common jobs out there for like entry level or whatever, especially like entry level kind of a thing. Maybe not, as much as you should be getting for putting your life on the line, but hey, I guess that's, I don't know, nothing I can do about it. Do you think paralegal would be able to do school on the side? I don't know too well. Maybe. It just depends on the unit sometimes, how busy that unit is, if you're able to pull it off or not. How long have we been going? 30 minutes? We'll probably go for maybe 10 more minutes and we'll probably cut this off. I don't know how long. I mean, I know with the technical difficulties it kind of shortened it a little bit, but to tell you the truth, I'm still a little bit hungover from yesterday. I probably partied a little too hard at the friend's house for the UFC fights. So It's a little rough. Chris, is 1-8 infantry still in Fort Carson? I believe so. I believe so. Some of these are responses. Should you get an MOS that transitions into what you want to do as a civilian, or do you recommend getting different experience in the Army? For the most part, if there's something you want to transition into the civilian world, then it's probably pretty good to do it on the military side. There are some situations that maybe it's good to get a little bit different ones. Like, what was it? Like, there's people I've talked to where they wanted to get like jobs working with like CIA or FBI or something like that, and most of them just think that, you know, you should go in and be an MP, which that helps sometimes, but sometimes they prefer you to do other things like military intelligence or certain other MOSs. So for the most part, yeah, I would go for, you know, something that you want to do on the civilian side, but it depends on what it is on the civilian side you want to do, and if that can kind of like mix up a little bit. Based off of Las Vegas Metro PD, the best thing you can do is get a bachelor's in anything. Most PD don't care a lot of what you did previous, but to specialize, they like degree holders. Yeah, for people looking to be MPs, you know, going to MPs and then getting out and do all that stuff like that. But there's people that I've known that have got, you know, did something else in the Army and gotten, you know, into police work. So it varies, I guess. Yo, Chris, is being a tanker a good job? Tankers would say so. I don't know. There's a lot of tankers I know that say that it's a really great MOS and it's probably the best MOS or whatever, but a lot of people sometimes say that about their MOS, so potentially yes. I want to do transportation management, trucking for my brother's business when I'm out, but 88 November looks boring, and I either want to do 88 Mike, 11 Bravo, or 31 Bravo. I think if you're trying to get out and do something like that, but you think 88 November looks boring, then maybe do 88 Mike, because then you'll understand the actual truck driving part of it, and then you can get out and do the management side of it. Maybe it'll be helpful. Chris, weird question. If you're stationed in Germany and you get a 16-year-old pregnant, can you get in trouble for that since the age of consent in Germany is 14? I believe so, because there's most of the laws when you're in the military, you have to go off of federal law, not local law. They're a little bit lenient on that with like alcohol, where they might let sometimes soldiers in other countries where the legal drinking age is lower, allow them to drink alcohol, but other things they don't flex on. Like, for example, even in the United States, if you're stationed in Colorado where, you know, marijuana is legal, just because it's legal in that state does not mean that you're allowed to do it, because you have to go off federal laws, and federally, marijuana is not legal. Federally, the age of consent, I think, is 18, right? I don't think it's not lower than 18. It's 18. So you have to go off of that, even if there's a state that has a lower age or a country that has a lower age. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you have to go off of 18 still. All right, we'll do a couple more questions, and we're gonna probably cut this off. 19 kilos at best MOS. See people that say 19 kilos is the best. Some response to that one. Okay, we're going back a little bit on some of these other questions that maybe I missed. Try to find something from previously that maybe I missed. Chris, after the stream, I'm going to rewatch all the Army videos. By the way, I did just do a playlist on the channel of like recommended videos to watch if to learn before you go into the military. So maybe later check out on the channel. There's a playlist that says specifically, check out these videos. It says learn this before you join the Army or something like that. So I highly recommend checking out that playlist. I had to basic training. Did away with hydration formations. Have you heard this? I have. Yeah, I have heard that and stuff. They used to do it, for people who aren't familiar with that, they used to do it where for like when I went through basic training, we still had to shine our boots. So you would go down and you would have to shine your boots, and while you're doing that, you would have to drink a whole canteen of water, maybe eat some fruit or whatever. Later they would kind of do it just differently, but same kind of concept where they wanted you to drink a whole canteen before you left and went back upstairs. They don't really do that anymore kind of a thing. So yeah, they've kind of gone away with that, and I guess they're just trying to, you know, not maybe baby people as much. I don't really know what the point is behind it. It's fine. I don't really care either way, whether they have them or don't have them. But at the same time, yeah, you got it. You know, if you're dumb and you're not staying hydrated, then that's your own damn fault. We'll do like maybe like 1 or 2 more. Let's see. But like legalization of marijuana, if it's in the house, it's government property and therefore illegal, right? What are you talking about? For legalization of marijuana, if it's in the house, it's government property. If the house is a government property, I don't know what you're talking about. But basically, if you're in the military, you have to go off federal law. Federally, marijuana is not legal. Not too sure what it is you're talking about too much, though. Chris is from the BDU era, boys. That's originally when I joined. Went from the BDUs to later to the ACUs, and they were getting ready to go to the OCP uniform as I was getting out. It was close to getting to that. They'd already like shown it and everything, I think, but people weren't wearing it just yet when I got out. And then I also even had like the desert uniforms the first time I deployed. First time I deployed to Iraq, I had the desert uniforms, but then the second time I was wearing the ACU pattern. All right, let's see. This will be the last question, I think. Right here will be this one. Does 4 years in high school JROTC rank you up in the military? It can, yes. I think if you've done all 4 years of JROTC, they could possibly bring you in as an E3, which is a private first class, but it's not guaranteed. Sometimes there's other factors they weigh in there, but the max they could allow you to join and come in at is an E3, but that still may not be a guaranteed of like just because you did it doesn't mean that you're guaranteed E3. Maybe it's E2. You know, it could just depend, but they can't put you in any higher than E3 if you did all 4 years of JROTC. E3 is kind of like the max for that kind of thing. All right, guys, if you had fun, if you enjoyed the live stream, make sure to show some love, hit that thumbs up. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Maybe check out some other videos after the live stream's over. Maybe check out that playlist I told you about. I do have some links down below. There's a P.O. box down in the description box. There's links to social media. Highly recommend following me on Instagram, ThatChrisChaos, or if you just search for Christopher Chaos. I'm pretty good about like responding to people's messages. If you send me a message and you have a question that maybe I didn't get to here on the live stream, or you can come back later when the video's processed and, you know, drop a comment in there if you wish. But thank you guys so much for hanging out, all that kind of stuff. We'll see if I get around to finishing MOS Monday tonight. If not, then there will be no MOS Monday tomorrow, and it'll have to get pushed to next week. Sorry about that. Kind of hectic week with the 4th of July and everything like that, having to work extra hours so I could take a 4-day and then busy 4-day weekend stuff. So, you know how it goes. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. You're awesome. You rock. I will check you guys out the next time. See ya.